bien bonjour boys and girls, my name is DT, I'm a paper designer and welcome to my workshop. So in today's video we are going to tackle Star Wars again, and the last time we actually made this guy, just wait, this little cute fella here. But I think for this time we're going to do something a little bit more classic, and we are going to be making Darth Vader's helmet. One of the very first projects I ever made in paper were actually related to Star Wars. So back in the days I was experimenting with paper and I wanted to see how I could get a little bit more volume using paper. So I came up with this idea of making frames in which the sculpture would come out of the frame. So this way we can get a little bit more volume. So I made a Darth Vader one and a Stormtrooper, and I think they look pretty cool. After that I wanted to do something a little bit bigger, so I actually did a full-scale version of Darth Vader coming out of the wall. And I was looking for a really dynamic pose, so I thought it would be cool to give him this choking pose. And as you can see, back in these days the model was really low poly, and I think today we're going to give him a little bit more details. So let's start modeling. As you can see, I started by importing two reference images. So I have this front view and this side view. They actually match up pretty well, so this is going to be a little bit easier to model, I think. This whole shape kind of resembles a sphere, so that's where I'm going to start. So let's take this piece. It's supposed to go up here, trying to keep this nice curve. These are pretty thin, so should I or should I not put them? Because I feel like if I don't put them, we miss lots of details from the helmet. Okay, things are starting to look pretty nice. I feel like his eyes being a little bit smaller and those eyebrows here makes a huge difference. I actually forgot to do this whole triangle tubing thing he has on the sides. Okay, so let's extrude those. I know, I feel like the whole helmet should be squeezed a little bit like this. And according to the reference image, this should be much higher actually. This should be like here. So now let's move some things around. Yeah, I'm definitely a much bigger fan of the asymmetrical look. I really don't like it when things are too clean and too perfect. But I think it's a style. It comes to personal preference. What do you guys think? Here you have this symmetrical version, and on the right side you have the asymmetrical version. So let me actually slap some colors on these guys so you can see a little bit better how it might look. Blackish color like that, and white like this. Oh, there's this grid on his face, I almost forgot. Let's see what kind of lighting should look nice on him. Ooh, I really like Studio for this guy. Studio looks really nice. What about the grid between his eyes? I'm going to do these as well. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. You mean those grids. So now I can delete those two pieces. I can show my whole helmet. Okay, let's just see if a head can actually fit inside of this. Yeah, that's what I feared. The helmet might be a little too small. So, oh, I think I can actually open my Iron Man helmet and see how this one scales next to the Vader helmet. 19 wide and 24. Okay, so my Iron Man helmet here is at the right size. I have to leave some space at the back, otherwise my head is not going to fit inside. Let's move him back a little bit like that. I have to grab those two, so it doesn't look too big, I think. This took a little bit longer than expected, but we had a lot of things to think about. Overall, I think this is going to look really, really sweet. This is going to be pretty fun to build. So, as you guys can see, I am building Darth Vader out of white paper, because I think it's going to be much more easier to see what I'm doing. At the moment, I still don't know if I'm going to use some acrylic paint or some Indian ink. So, the first side is complete, and I'll be moving on to the next side. And now I'm moving on to the left side. Both the right and left side are now completed, and I'll be moving on into the mouth. So tell me, have you seen like the most recent Star Wars movies? Like The Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and how was it called? The Rise of Skywalkers? Or something like this? What do you think about those movies? That movie was really hard to watch. I don't know you, but I had a really tough time watching this movie. Return of the Jedi was pretty fun, but I have to say my favorite is definitely Empire Strikes Back. I don't know if I'm actually going to paint it. I think it looks pretty cool in white. Who am I kidding? Of course I'm going to paint it. So the whole helmet is almost done and I have 2 pieces left to glue. And this is going to be the tricky part. So I'm going to show you how you can finish and complete this build. So the first thing you want to do is to take this piece and then glue it first. So this piece I'm gluing is going to complete and close the rim of the helmet. Now I'm left with the piece number 51, the last one, and then we will be done. So the trick here is that you are going to start by gluing this piece, either this one or the one on the right, just like that. And then you're just going to move your way around one flap at a time. So you move on to the next piece, and then you want to put your fingers at the back like this, so you can actually apply pressure from both of the sides. Then we have this last tab. I'm just going to put some tape on those last pieces. Like this piece, which is going to go over here, like the grill section of his mouth guard, I guess. Now I'm going to move on those small rectangle pieces that are going on his nose. I'm going to glue this up here. Then I will move on to the second one. Actually, I think it's a better idea to put the third one first, so this way you can place the second one with more precision. So yeah, don't do it like me. Place the A piece first and then the C piece to finally finish with the B piece. Okay guys, so I think we are done. So here is the result. I think I'm gonna have to take a few pictures first because I really like how this helmet looks in all white. Okay, so before I could start painting this guy, I did some tests. So first I started with some Indian ink. And as you can see, the result was looking a little bit too light. After that, I tried some acrylic paint. And I had something a lot darker, which is good. But the thing that I didn't like about this is that you could actually see all the brush strokes. And then after this, I tried to mix the Indian ink and the acrylic paint, but the result was not looking that great either. But after digging in my garage for a few minutes, I actually found this. So I did some more tests. Here in the middle, I sprayed only 1 layer on my paper. On the left, I did 2 layers, which looks a lot darker. And on this side, before I could actually paint the paper, I used a primer first. That looked like this. So a primer is basically a base coat that you apply on your surface so the paint can stick a little bit better to it. And most of the time you would find them in the form of a spray can because it's much easier to apply this way. But I only had some liquid primer laying around. So before I could slap some paint on this guy, I would have to cover him using this first. So I'm done with the primer and now I'm ready to paint. So I'm gonna need a glove and my mask. Let's go. Okay, so I think it looks pretty nice. I don't think I will need to put a second layer on this. Now all I have to do is to paint those silver details. And the build is done. And the Lord or the Sith is now done. This guy turned out really nice. I'm super happy with how it looks. If I had an advice for you guys who would like to make this helmet, it would be to actually use some white paper first and then to paint it. But before you paint it, you definitely want to use some primer first. Otherwise your helmet might not end up looking as clean as this. So use some thick white paper, prime, and then paint. Anyway, thank you for joining me to the dark side today, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments what you'd like to see me build next time. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and until then, I will see you in the next workshop. Iko?